Hey there, Coach BK. Today, we are going to take a journey and learn a little bit about inflammation. Two things. Inflammation is a normal body response. It is needed. It is part of your body's immune system and the way that it repairs and deals with your environment. It is designed very intricately. It has lots of different moving parts, lots of places to go sideways, but it is much needed. We need to care for this inflammatory immune system. And so our hope is that we give you enough information, help to motivate you to take a gander at your inflammation story, your immune story. If you're involved in our programs, the ebook that we have regarding this topic, inflammation, is very comprehensive in that it gives you lots of information and lots of smarty words that you can Google if you want to know more of the science, and leads you through activities to take what we're telling you and to evaluate it and to apply it to your life to see where your story is with inflammation in your immune system. Where are some things that you can't change that you have to work around? Where are some things that you can make changes to? How do you make some lifestyle changes that result in healthier, happier? Very true. If you can get inflammation in check, a lot of things change, including your mood, including your neurotransmitters. It's everywhere, just because of the nature of the system. So take this journey with us. If you're following along in one of our programs and you have this workbook, this ebook that we have created for you, make sure to do the work within the book as far as, applying what we just told you, educated you on, and applying that to your life and seeing, what stands out for you. So here we go. I'm going to try to keep this a little simpler. You can look in the ebook references for more information, further, deeper knowledge. I want you to have a broad scope of this topic. You don't need to really be super sciencey about this. It's just meant as motivation for you to make better little choices, like Oreos versus no Oreos, natural fruit instead of the Oreo. Okay, so here we go. Our immune system is fabulous. It is designed to help us deal with the world, with our environment. We are mostly a closed system inside. We have skin, we have, our digestive tract that keeps things out, allows things to come in, but we have systems of keeping things out. And this immune system, this inflammatory response, is kind of your soldiers on when things go sideways. You ingest something that is harmful to you, allergic reaction, or just plain toxic, or you cut yourself, and your immune system, your inflammatory response is going to go to work to try to heal that, repair it, get that closed up so you are no longer at risk. Open wound to things in your environment. So examples, obviously a cut. If you food poisoning is a good one, to where, your body has actually mechanical methods of your immune system to get things to exit, sneezing. So isn't that super cool to think about that? So what we're talking about is a little bit of war on fungus, bacteria, viruses, the things that we do to ourselves, the environments that we put ourselves in, non-living stuff like toxins, chemicals, drugs, foreign particles, all of that stuff. Your immune system and your inflammatory response are designed to combat, help you to heal, to be resilient and recover from that. So the immune system, when working optimally, works to recognize, identify, destroy things that it perceives as a foreign invader or an antigen. Your body is super wizard smart in doing this, and it's kind of mostly what you need to understand about the body recognizes something that's not there optimally, and it goes and it does business to get rid of it, leave it non-threatening to the body, etc. Say in the case you have too much inflammation and you develop an autoimmune issue where your body is now attacking its own cells, say like rheumatoid arthritis where your joints and stuff get a little stiff because your immune system is now off, non-balanced, ailing. And so that's what autoimmune means, is that your immune system inflammation is now attacking its own self. And so where it does that at dictates what letters and words they give it. Rheumatoid arthritis, MS, fibromyalgia, etc., 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 lupus. All of those are awful. And it's your own body's very strategic, strong, resilient immune system working against itself. Okay, antigens. Once they get into past the barriers, your skin, inside, they cause inflammation. You're kind of soldiers, so to speak, okay? Continuing on with immunity just a little bit further in understanding is that you have two types of immunity. You have acquired immunity, and then you have passive immunity. So acquired immunity is what you develop based on exposure to things. So in your environment, like communities, they all kind of have the general bugs of this same locality and whatnot. So eventually those people develop immunity to that. So that's when you go to across the country and you get sick just like that. Or you have someone come in from out of town. Julie, stop it. Dogs. You don't have acquired immunity to, say like you live in California, you don't have acquired immunity to somebody living in New York, in their environment. So you get exposed to something that's new. Your body's not really even familiar with it. You get sick. Acquired immunity, okay? Your immune system builds a defense system against a specific antigen. However that happens, either like with a vaccine, with something intentional, or with exposure throughout your living, okay? Passive immunity is due to antibodies that are produced in the body. So like infants have passive immunity because they were born with those antibodies. They were transferred from mom to the baby in utero. Okay, passive immunity. Okay. Moving on. If you want to know a little bit more about that, our ebook has more info on that and where to go look and research if you want to geek out on this stuff. So within our immune system, go and diving just a smidge deeper to help motivate you on taking care of your body and understanding how this stuff is so intricate. The immune system includes several types of white blood cells, okay? Also includes chemicals, proteins, antibodies, and whatnot, okay? Very complex. I mean, think about what you do, who you are as a human being running around, swimming in water, running around, barefoot, not barefoot, interacting with all these people, stuff like that. It has to be super smart. So some of these parts in the immune system are soldiers. They attack, okay? They work together in the immune system to go, they see some, oh, get you. So these are called lymphocytes, a type of a white blood cell. And there's a B type and a T type, okay? B types become cells that produce antibodies. See something? They create an antibody for it. Immunity, okay? These antibodies, these lymphocytes, make it easier for the immune system to destroy that antigen. Okay, kind of break it down. T lymphocytes attack antigens directly and help control the immune system. They release chemicals known as cytokines, which help to control the entire immune system and the inflammatory response. Okay? Reiterating this fact that we touched on earlier, that as the lymphocytes develop, they optimally usually know how to tell the difference between your body tissues and substances that are foreign. Okay, they have a memory. It's part of this smart system. This allows your system to be agile and respond quickly for your benefit. When your system doesn't respond quickly, too much inflammation, too much antigens get in, and you become bombarded with too much bad. You get sick, or sicker than what you would have had your immune system been sharp and quick and had responded quickly. Responding quickly to an antigen such as a common cold or whatnot, if it's working really well, you might not get sick, or just a little bit, or you get just mild symptoms and you say, oh, I see that, I'm going to help my immune system by taking some more vitamin C or some airborne or extra juice plus or whatever you do. When this system doesn't work like that, you get sicker for longer, your body doesn't respond as well, doesn't help to repair itself, and I would imagine to say that it's probably ailing in other areas, so that sickness is kind of compounded with maybe gut health issues as well. If you have immunity issues, those two things go hand in hand almost always, and the lifestyle that leads into that generally might not be a lifestyle that helps your immune system recover quickly, if that made any sense. Okay, so let's now shift our thinking a little bit to part of the immune system, which is the inflammatory response. Okay, this inflammatory response occurs when our tissues become injured from either bacteria, trauma, toxins, heat, whatever it is, viruses, parasites. There's just a laundry list of stuff that our tissues get damaged by. Our own metabolic waste, free radicals, creates oxidative stress, which causes inflammation on the inside. You can think of that more like a fireplace and the embers that come out as the wood burns. The ember comes out and burns something. That's like oxidative stress. That's when we're not eating enough fruits and vegetables to kind of combat that inflammatory response or nature of metabolism. Same thing as driving your car. You have to have oil in it in order to take care of the heat that is generated from running the engine. Metabolism can create inflammation, can create byproducts that are inflammatory. Okay. Swelling is caused. Histamines are released. Histamines are what makes you itch. Okay. Some kind of interesting examples of that. If you are a swimmer, and certain people are going to be sensitive to the chlorine and other chemicals in the water. So when your mucosal lining, which is a barrier to the inside of your body, gets inundated with chemicals, toxins, antigens from the water, your body responds with inflammation in your mucosal lining. And what does it do? It creates this physiological response that you're snotting all over the place and you're also sneezing. Again, remember that mechanical get out idea? Sneezing, you're trying to create more snot to flush out the antigens or the antigen overload or the toxic overload that you're getting from too much swimming in very chemically whatever water, where you don't get that response when you swim in salt water because it isn't recognized by your body as an antigen or a toxin. So that's a very swimmy example of the histamine response. Another example of inflammation with histamines is runners that are working out, or weightlifters, folks that are breaking down muscle tissue, and folks that get the blotchy skin. That's histamine response, an inflammatory response. Your body's responding to muscles being broke down, and that's what's happening. Just a lot of different inflammatory responses that happen within the body. Folks that shouldn't be eating gluten or gluten sensitive will have gut inflammation going on, which presents itself with a lot of different things, ends up with leaky gut, and that's just kind of a runaway train for a lot of different health ailments. Okay. Okay. Moving on, let's talk about two types of inflammation, just to understand this whole story, this journey that we're on. So you have acute inflammation, and acute inflammation is a very normal physiological response to an injury or a pathogen that has gotten into past those barriers that we've been talking about. This is an innate immune system response. Acute means, quick, sharp, okay? It involves a lot of different body cells, blood vessels, proteins. There's a lot of different moving parts with this immune system, this inflammatory response, to help something that, happens to you, a cut, something you ingest, quickly, and the body responds quickly. The goals of the acute inflammatory response are to help that injured area to heal, to eliminate the initial cause of the injury. Say you ingested something, your acute inflammatory response is going to go try to eliminate that, remove dead cells and tissues, and then initiate a repair inflammation process to help control and kind of buffer what's going on. So an example would be running a temperature when a child gets sick, gets exposed to, a common cold bug or whatnot. That temperature is an immune system response, an inflammatory response. That heat is designed, the body knows that heat will kill certain viruses, so that's why you run a temperature. That's an example of this acute inflammatory response. You're cut, you get a cut, and you get red, gets a little hot. That's your immune system, this acute inflammatory response, working to seal up, heal, and to combat anything that could possibly get in at that moment. Okay. On the flip side of that, you have chronic inflammation. So chronic inflammation is when something acute hasn't been resolved, and it causes this long-term kind of drudging on thing. Inflammation may pass a longer length of time. Some pathogens provoke chronic rather than acute inflammation by their nature. Many of the stages and the mechanisms, features of acute are the same as chronic. It's just that with chronic inflammation, it just goes on and on and on, and it's hard to resolve. Part of the reason why that is hard to resolve is sometimes the side effects of that inflammation cause that to be worse. So it's hard to heal up, say like in gut lining. If you're not eating the right things, or you're eating more sugar, which causes more inflammation, becomes a very chronic inflammatory response within that gut lining. Okay. Chronic inflammation has a 3P process. Okay, persistent injury or infection, prolonged exposure to a toxic agent, or perpetuating the immune system reaction that results in tissue damage or inflammation. Okay, Again, our ebook has a ton of all this information in here. So if you wanted to look at that and digest that, please feel free. It's a lot to look at and to understand. So, but I want to go over some of the things that happens with chronic inflammation. And remember, it can start with acute, and if either our system is not able to deal with it, or it's in combination with other things, say like a nutritional imbalance is going on and you get a sickness somewhere else. Those two things going together can just be fuel for fire and create a scenario where you end up with chronic inflammation. Okay, neurological disorders like Alzheimer's, dementia, cardiovascular problems, sort of like heart failure, metabolic disorders like fatty liver disease, cancers, like lots of cancers, right? Bone, muscular, and skeletal disease, muscular dystrophy, chronic inflammatory disease, diabetic complications. There's just a ton of stuff that inflammation does. That's why when you're talking about anti-inflammatory diet, it's winner chicken dinner. It's kind of like a low-level, very basic, good way to eat because of our lifestyle, because of how we are, maybe our genetics, our food supply, maybe our lifestyle, like exercising. Exercising can be stressful and inflammatory. Our jobs, maybe not being nutritionally the best, becoming older, all sets us up for really needing to think about inflammation like the big evil guy. So while we were wrapping up this journey talking about some other things just to kind of fill in the gaps to give you the whole picture, please remember that the ebook on this is a workable document where you have assignments to go through and kind of digest, okay, what am I eating that's causing a lot of inflammation? Is my job stressful? Do I have gut issues? And just kind of brainstorm and write some things down as far as what we have said, what pertains to you. Okay. So there are some things that we just have to accept in this big picture, this journey of immunity and inflammation on non-modifying factors of inflammation. Okay. What does that mean? So it means things that you can't change, like maybe your genetics, your genomes, how your age, your ancestry. A lot of biological, genetic, and family factors are going to be non-modifiable. We are all designed differently. We have all reached kind of different levels of balance in our body, maybe from different cultures, say like an Eastern, European Eastern folks like myself from Germany will have kind of one set of things going on that is just what I have to work around, while other people will have other things. That's non-modifiable. It's just something that you're going to have to accept and work with and around. Okay? Not to say that your genes, you can't influence them. How they express themselves is in your influence. So yes, you have genetic kind of predispositions, but turning on and off things, lifestyle is a huge factor in that. So, okay. Modifiable factors, lifestyle factors in this inflammation journey, the story. What are some things that we can modify? Sometimes we can modify our stressful jobs that cause inflammation, and sometimes we can't. Sometimes we are in a job that creates inflammation because of toxic loads, say like you work in a machine shop or whatever, okay? Those things, yes, they are modifiable. Sometimes, you just can't go and quit your job, but you sure can work on that. Other modifiable factors in this inflammation story, how much you sleep, the quality of your air, the quality of your water, how well you do nutrition, how well you take care of the body. What do you do to take care of the barriers, like your skin, your mouth, your teeth, your digestive tract? Those are all very modifiable. What are you doing with your stress level? If you can't quit that stressful job, what emotional and mental habits can you do to not have those things trigger your stress response, your fight or flight response, which triggers inflammation and becomes chronic if it's just over and over and over and over again. Those are all modifiable. Your physical activity is modifiable. Did I say your sleep is modifiable? Yes. That can be a big story, but it is. Your happiness. How much self-care do you do? That's totally modifiable and a huge component with this immunity inflammation. If you know how to chill the heck out, that's just great. And our ebooks and our workbooks really help you to hone in on this aspect, to practice things that work for you. Like some people are going to want to meditate and breathe deep, or stare at butterflies, or work in their garden. Me, I like to do archery and shoot my bow, stuff like that. Okay. So again, if you want, to really examine this stuff, write down what are your modifiable factors. What are you not doing? What do you need to work harder at? Okay. So your inflammation story is very in your control. And it's one of the things that you can do and address if you have anything else going on. So I live with a heart condition, and if I learn how to control my inflammatory response on the daily, consistently, I improve my heart health. So an example would be red wine. While everybody's touting that it's really good for cardiovascular health, it is awful for me and triggers a flutter because of the histamine response that my person type, probably my genetics, gets when I drink red wine. Histamine response causes inflammation, does some other fun stuff. That inflammation, causes increased BP, blood pressure, heart rate. Your body thinks it's slightly hurt, so it kind of gears it up. And then my heart condition goes, oh. Add in a little bit of emotional stress to that red wine, the reason why you're probably drinking the red wine, and boom, boom, Bob's your uncle, and now you're in a pickle. Okay? So that's a way of kind of wrapping your mind around your inflammatory story, who you are, what you can, what you're working with, because my heart condition isn't something that I can modify it a little bit, but it is there. And it's definitely the high priority of what I'm working around. You can do that, and you can find yourself achieving better levels of health and wellness and happiness, dealing with, say, a heart condition or diabetes. Some of these things you can actually work to eliminate or become asymptomatic through dealing with inflammation. So if you have any questions about the whole story of inflammation, feel free to get with us. We love questions. The workbook is amazing on helping you to see your story, because we are all different. Coach BK, we're having a great one. Namaste.